Going to live stream the meeting. It's connecting. There's a bar and it's loading. There's a zoom and an arrow to YouTube. It's halfway. Oh, done. Redirecting you to YouTube. Okay, we're live.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our first ever YouTube live stream. Tonight is in order to celebrate our 1-year anniversary of our Limitless podcast and blog. We are hosting a YouTube live with some of our youth leaders and youth mentors who are behind the podcast and behind the blog, and it's going to be your chance to kind of get to know us a little bit, ask us some questions, and just join us as we have a good time talking, playing a couple games, and just getting to know each other a little better. And now, before we get down to anything else, I just want to remind everybody to, if you're watching, please feel free to post questions in the chat. We have some people who will be monitoring the chat to take questions in between our games and so forth. And now let's get started by introducing our youth mentors and everybody else who is part of the live today. So let's start off with Nika.
Sure. Hi, my name is Nika, and I'm 20 years old. My vision condition is Peter's anomaly. Essentially, most of my remaining vision is in my left eye. I can see shapes, colors, but can't see small details unless I'm super up close. And I've been involved in Blind Beginnings for the past 11 years and volunteering for the past 7. And I really love being on the Limitless podcast and blog committees.
Cool. All right. Next, we will go to Ishita.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Ishita. I am also 20, and I have a condition called cone-rod dystrophy, which primarily affects my central field of vision. So I use my peripheral vision to kind of live, and it's kind of a little bit blurry, so I can see bigger shapes and general colors, but I have issues with seeing finer details. And I joined Blind Beginnings this year in January, technically. I started on the podcast in January, and I've written some blogs as well. So it's been a real fun experience so far.
Okay, thank you, Ishita. And now to Ella.
Hi, I'm Ella. I'm 18 years old. I literally just turned 18 a week ago. And I've been with Blind Beginnings for, I'm trying to remember. I think I've been with it for 10 or 11 years, but I didn't join the youth leader thing until about 3 years ago. I'm actually very new to the podcast and blog committee. I was involved in a podcast last year because I was called to. And at first I was really scared of joining the podcast and blog committee because I didn't think I had anything to contribute, but then I went through then I think I just explored further and thought, actually this is something that I might actually be good at. So I joined very recently, and I'm hoping to get more involved in it in the near future. And yeah, I'm really passionate about what Blind Beginnings does, and yeah.
Awesome. Jacob?
Hello, my name is Jacob. I'm 21, and my visual condition is called Norrie's disease. I think it's now called Norrie's syndrome. Basically, it's genetic, and my retina does not exist, to make things short. I've been with Blind Beginnings since 2017. I joined as part of the Youth Leadership Training Weekend and have been here ever since. And you haven't heard me on the podcast. I tend to stick in the background. I'm more of the editing type, so that's me.
All right, thank you, Jacob. Ginny.
Hello, everyone. I apologize for my video not being on. I'm not in a proper spot for that. I'm Ginny. I'm 21 years old, and I'm from Aldergrove, BC, which is located on the traditional unceded lands of the Stalo, Sumas, and Kwantlen peoples. I have been with Blind Beginnings since 2014 when I joined as part of the youth leadership program. I have also been blind since birth. I have a condition called bilateral microphthalmia. And that's when your eyes aren't fully developed. So I have prosthetic eyes. What else do I do? Yeah, I'm on the podcast. I've been on it pretty much since the beginning, a little bit after. I have been a co-host for some episodes, and I'm also as part of the blog as well. I've written a few pieces for that. And outside of the podcast and blog, I'm on the board of Blind Beginnings, just finishing off my 5th term as our youth representative. And I'm involved in other small youth committees as well as part of our bigger youth leadership program.
Okay, thank you, Ginny. It's great to have everybody here. And on to Randy.
Randy, you're muted.
Oh, there we go. You know, we love being live, don't we? So I just wanted to have 4 people live watching us right now in the chat, and Jazz Jeet said hello. So my name is Randy. I've been with Blind Beginnings since 2010, when I first participated in the Youth Leadership Network training weekend. And I've been involved in several different committees, including the craft committee, the flash mob committee, and currently the podcast committee. And I've been in the podcast committee since we started it, pretty much. And my condition is called Stickler syndrome. And basically, the back of my eyes are shaped like footballs. So I'm incredibly nearsighted. But I use glasses, but other than that, I don't really use any accommodating accessibility devices or anything like that.
Awesome. Thank you, Randy. And last but not least, let's give our shout out to our person behind the tech who needs really no introduction, but we're going to let her introduce herself anyway. Emily, why don't you say hi?
Oh, I'm so shy. Hi everyone, I'm Emily. I'm behind the scenes in Limitless Committee. So happy to be here, clicking some buttons and laughing at everyone's jokes. But happy to be here. I am the program and volunteer coordinator here at Blind Beginnings, and we just had Jagad join us. Yay!
Hello, Jugad.
Hey, Jagad.
I hope you can see you. I've
Thank
first
you.
time turned on my camera. Never
Okay,
done
thank you, Emily. We definitely, it's great to have somebody here pushing those buttons because that's very appreciated. So is the person who is going to laugh at all of my bad jokes because those are the only kinds I know how to make. And to now, Jagad. Jagad, we're just introducing ourselves to our audience. So if you could tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been at Blind Beginnings,
Yeah.
And the stuff that you've done.
So hello everyone. I'm Jugad and I'm 13 years old and I've been in my eye condition is LCA, Leber congenital amaurosis, which is a rare eye condition in which you can see light, big objects, and basically like shadows of people, maybe people as well, but no, not details. So it's a rare kind of eye condition from which, yeah, you can see from the corners of your eyes and not from the middle of them. And in the Limitless Committee, I've been only surprisingly for 3 meetings. I'm kind of new as well, but I've been on, I believe, a couple of podcasts and a blog. So And
Awesome.
I've been a member of Blind Beginnings for a couple of years. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So thank you, Jagad. Thanks everyone for introducing yourselves. And lastly, I'm Clement. I've been part of Blind Beginnings also since the 2010 Youth Leadership Training, although I've really been part of Blind Beginnings. I've had the privilege of being part of Blind Beginnings since the Blind Beginning. And there's no drum roll, otherwise there would be one, because that was a horrible pun, and I know that. And I am part of the Limitless podcast and blog. I've written a few blogs, and I've been part of a few episodes. And I am a volunteer at large with Blind Beginnings, and I float around doing whatever may be asked of me. Okay, so I also have a condition called, which is the same as Jacob's. It's called Nori disease, and we are the only two Nori boys in here, so shout out for that. And with that being said, we are going to move into our first get to know you activity of the night, which is going to be the classic group game, Two Truths and a Lie.
Woo!
Yes.
I don't want to interrupt, but we actually have our first question in the chat.
We have a question. Randy, can you go ahead and...
Woo! So the question's from Frank Roberts, and he asks, as members of the blind and low vision community, do any of you feel that the general public is more or less accommodating of you as the years go by?
Oh boy,
That's
that is
a big question.
That's an awesome
all
question.
right, so let's that's a great question, and we'll start off with that. I'm just gonna ask everybody to keep your answers concise, okay? Because we only have a limited amount of time, and we want to get to as many questions as we can. So, Randy, since you asked the question, why don't you start?
Well, I don't know if I'm the best one to really start this off because, as I said, I'm very nearsighted, but I don't use any low vision mobility aids or anything. I do have a cane. I use very occasionally in specific circumstances, but I, would, kind of get to the general public. All I look like is a girl with thick glasses. It doesn't really mean anything to them. They don't realize how bad my vision is.
Okay.
I have to go out of my way to, if I actually need help, I have to actually try and ask somebody deliberately because it's never offered.
Right.
But that's
okay.
because
So
it's not noticeable.
So it's not really a big deal unless you actually have to ask for it, and at that point, then you have to work through you have to jump through a little bit to get what you need.
Yeah, maybe trying to find the person to ask or what have you.
Okay. And do you think has that gotten easier or harder as time's gone by?
I think it's hard to say because I grew up in a very small town and now I live in a fairly large city or series of cities all connected. And it's not really a comparable set of scenarios that I ever ran into. So as a kid, really, what was I looking for that I ever needed help with, really? I went and sat in front of the classroom to look at the board, but I didn't need to ask for that.
Right. Okay. Jugad, what about you?
Yeah. So could you repeat the question, Randy?
So to summarize it, basically, as part of the low vision community, do you feel that the general public has become more or less aware and accommodating as time goes by?
Okay. So sorry, I had a message from Emily. So my voiceover spoke in between. So could you repeat again?
So the question once again is, do you think people have become less or more accommodating to you as a blind person as time has gone by?
So I've been in my society or colony, whichever you'd like to call it, for a couple of years now. And at first there was a little bit of a problem because no one actually knew me using a cane, and I just used the cane for the first time. And I was just new to the place. I just came to Canada a couple of years ago, so everything felt new. But actually, I was practicing with my O&M teacher, Miss Deborah, and we both were walking, and I was having my mobility lesson, and one man came to me, and he was like, coming by your left, please get to the right, please. So I felt that was pretty good. And when I walk by, sometimes someone comes and greets me nowadays, and they recognize me with a cane. And I've noticed this slightly, that people tend to walk more cautious of me and more aware that there's someone using a cane here rather than just coming in my way and all that. So I felt like with some time, of course, there are some people, which there are always going to be, that are like, why are you doing this or what, but you need to educate people. So yeah, that's kind of like, if that
Okay,
answers.
awesome. Thank you, Jagad. Ishita, what about you?
Oh, I would say my situation is kind of similar to Randy. If I don't have my cane with me, and I don't use a mobility cane, I use an ID cane, which is a lot thinner. You don't use it to tap it, you just kind of use it to hold it in front of you to let people know that you are walking and you're visually impaired. So unless I kind of don't have that, people don't think I am visually impaired. So I can get by with just living quote unquote normally. And but what I do notice that when I do have my cane out, people are a lot more accommodating. And I think in general, with social media and better representation in media, hopefully we can get more of that. People are learning to be more accommodating. And Jagad just said the person was that saying, verbalizing, hey, I'm on your left, just to let you know, instead of grabbing you, which thank God, because that is not something that you should be doing. So I think awareness is getting it's becoming more aware and it's getting better. So my hope is that as time goes on, it just keeps getting better and better.
So it sounds like from what you and Jagad are both saying is that like the cane kind of makes it more immediate because it's a symbol that people recognize.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's always good to educate people. Like if they come to you, and even if they grab you, don't be like, get off me. You should be like, I have a cane and I can help myself, please. Like that, so they know what's the problem. Otherwise they'll be like, okay, fine.
Okay, cool. Nika, what do you think?
For me, my visual impairment is actually pretty obvious. Mine does affect the front of my eyes, so they look clouded. So people kind of assume right away that I am visually impaired. I also am a full-time cane user. And even today, in today's society, 2021, I do encounter some frustrating situations, but I also acknowledge that things are a lot better than they were even 20 years ago. And I have hope that with all of the podcasts and blogs, especially that we're doing, and all the outreach, that things will be better. And the more that people that this reaches, I think the more accommodating society will get.
Yeah, for sure. Ella, what about you? What do you think?
I think that there's definitely been more awareness, like even though I don't check media that much, but I'd say that just and although I'm maybe not around that many people, I think that, as someone who's completely blind and uses a cane all the time, people seem to be like really understanding and accommodating, and they all seem to be pretty cool with me being visually impaired. In fact, about a year ago, because of COVID and just interest, I actually got involved in a really close-knit online community where we actually have to collaborate online together, and it gets pretty close-knit. And it was to the point that I actually had to mention my visual impairment. And although I was really afraid of mentioning my visual impairment, I would only tell people in private if I felt it was really necessary. I was actually very surprised to find that almost everyone in that group, they're also especially wonderful people, were actually very accommodating of my visual impairment, and they thought it was they thought I was a cool person, and I just became really likable, and I was really surprised that a group of online strangers would who I just told them, hey, I'm visually impaired, I was actually surprised by the amount, how accommodating they were, because it's not because they don't get to see you. This might have been a weird thing to bring up, but I thought it was kind of important, because I think to me this is a sign that people really just do have more understanding.
Okay, thank you for that. That's very informative. Because online is definitely a different realm for sure when it comes to accommodation and being included. So we can talk more about that perhaps later on. Jacob, what do you think?
As I get my audio unmuted, I think, well, as time has gone on, definitely, as multiple people have said, awareness has definitely improved and increased. So I think because of that, yes, people are very accommodating of my visual impairment. Of course, being completely blind, it's quite obvious. So I think that also plays a part. So my answer is yes.
Okay. Ginny?
I agree with everything everyone has said. Especially we have come a long way from how things used to be, and I think this is why we do what we do, is to help things get better and educate people and give them a space where they are able to come and learn and ask questions. And I agree about the as someone who's a fully blind daily cane user, I totally agree. I'm more noticed a little bit in that realm, and people ask kind of more questions and approach me more. But I recently just switched mobility devices, and I personally feel like I've taken a couple steps back, because people are now approaching me a bit more, asking me more questions, and I'm having to advocate a bit more. And I'm not used to doing that anymore, because when I was using a cane, the people around me already knew how to interact with me. Now I use a guide dog, and I have to reestablish that sort of the rules per se all over again, and I have to remember how to advocate again.
Okay, cool. Thanks everyone for all your answers. I also kind of feel that I would agree as well. I think things have societally gotten better in the last few years or so, especially with more awareness, more representation, as Ishita said. However, I think the question, it has to be answered on both a societal and individual level, and I think on an individual basis, it very much depends on the specific situation. So I would say yes, and no, depending on your circumstances and the specific case. But in general, in terms of society, we've definitely gotten much further in the last few years than we have in a long time.
Yeah, that was a great question.
Thanks everyone for your thanks Frank for your question, and thanks everyone for your answers. To all of you who are joining us now, we are hosting the first ever Blind Beginnings live stream in order to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of our Limitless sub-project, our podcast and our blog. Thank you so much for joining us. And we are going to hop into the first game of the evening, which is Two Truths and a Lie. And so we are going to go in a similar order. Frank, I just saw your question. We will get to that. We will address it after our game is over. So I hope you'll stick around and get to know us a little as we play this game together. So let's go this way. We are going to start with Jacob. And for all those who don't know, Two Truths and a Lie is a common icebreaker / group game that is a personal favorite of mine. And it's a game where a person will give 3 statements about themselves, 2 of which are true, hence the 2 truths, and 1 of which is false, hence a lie. And the job of everybody else in the Zoom room today is going to be to figure out which one of these is not true. And Jacob is going to kick us off and make us break some ice for us. Go ahead, Jacob.
Well, this might be easy for a lot of people to guess because most people here know me already, but we'll see. Okay. I have been scuba diving. I have been to space camp. I know 3 former US presidents.
I think I might know.
Okay. So Jacob, you can repeat them one more time, and then we will get each person to guess.
Okay. I have been scuba diving. I have been to space camp. I know 3 former US presidents.
Okay, and for all those who are in the live chat, you can feel free to put your guesses in as well, and we will reveal the answer, or Jacob will reveal the answer at the end once we're done. So what does everybody think? Ishita, what do you think?
I'm assuming you mean like you know them personally, or just like you just know of them. The third one. Like, do you?
I know of them.
You know
Okay.
of them. Oh,
Quite
okay.
well.
Okay, I'll say that. Okay.
Oh, okay.
That one made it harder now. Okay, I was gonna say that. I'm like, I don't think you know 3 presidents. God, I'm gonna say number 2 is false.
Okay.
That I've been to space camp. Okay.
Nika?
I am going to be calling on the scuba diving one.
Okay.
Randy?
I was going to say the third one, but then Ishita's question changed things. So
Ah.
I'm gonna go with the scuba diving as well.
Okay.
Okay, Ginny?
Scuba diving as well.
Ella?
I was gonna say the president's one, but I'm gonna say. Oh my gosh, that makes it really tricky.
Okay, I
I'm
just want to
tempted
jump in
say
here.
president.
I was not clear. I do mean I know them personally.
Okay.
Wait.
Oh, okay.
All right.
I
Well,
thought I had been
let's
clear.
clarify that. We're gonna revise. We're gonna revise things a little bit.
Okay.
Jacob, you are our practice round, but for the future, once you've made your statement, you cannot retract them. You cannot clarify on them. Okay.
I thought I had been clear.
All
My
right.
apologies.
No worries. Okay. Well, no take backsies, folks. So we're not gonna have people take back our answers. Ella, can you finish stating what your answer was? Did you finish?
I said my answer was the president one.
Okay. Jugad.
Actually, I can believe that you went for scuba diving because you seem kind of adventurous in that matter.
Oh,
But yeah, I'll
okay.
take the president as the lie.
Okay. And I will also go with that one. And drum roll, please, which we don't have. Jacob, what is the answer?
The lie was that I know personally 3 former U.S. presidents.
Oh,
Yep.
Jacob.
Well,
President used to-
That's what I thought it was.
Yeah.
I have been to space camp, and that's actually where I went scuba diving.
That's what I was assuming.
okay, so the answer was the third one, right?
Yes, the
All
answer
right.
was the third one.
All right, so now into the real match. And again, no clarification, no redactions. So think about how you want your statements to be taken. In the meantime, thanks to everyone for joining us. Hello, Jazzjeet. Hello, Ultimate Fiddle Player 1. Now we are going to go straight into it again. Next round, and we are going to go with whoever my cursor lands on first. Oh! And we are going to get our camera woman to play. Emily, could you...
Oh no, we don't have enough time for me. I'll leave it to y'all.
Oh, all right. Don't be shy, but that's all right. We can go with that. Ginny.
All right. I've ridden an elephant. I'm a vegetarian. I've ridden a camel.
All right. Okay, those are 3 pretty tricky ones. So now let's just give numbers rather than state the answer and reasons. So what does everyone think? Ishita.
I'm going to 3.
Nika.
3.
Jugad.
3.
Jacob.
3.
Randy.
If 3 is camel, because I lost track.
Yes, 3 is
Yes.
camel.
Okay, so are either all
it was
right or
camel.
wrong?
And Ella.
I say 3.
All right, and I didn't miss anybody else, right? Except me.
3 was camel.
Yes, 3 was a camel. I'm going to guess number 1. And Ginny, what is the answer?
First, I want to say, I can't believe you guys know me so well. It is number 3. I have ridden an elephant, and I am a vegetarian.
There you are. Okay. So everybody got it right except me, which is perfectly fine.
Love you too. Love you too, Clement.
That's fine. All right. Let's move on to... I'm going to do my cursor scroll again. Ishita.
Okay. So
I hope you're not going to say you like anime because
no, I purposely took that out because I knew everybody would guess it. So I'm trying to make this a little bit hard for you guys. Okay, so number one, when I was 15, I went to Toronto on a trip and saw the Niagara Falls. Number two is that when I was in grade 5, I really wanted to dye my hair, and my friend and I, we went to her house and we bought a box of the at-home dye, and I dyed the bottom half of my hair pink and got in trouble for it. And then the third one is I went zip lining once.
Ooh,
So
okay.
go ahead and guess.
We got some stuff here. Randy, what do you think?
Well, I mean, the first two are so detailed, and then the last one just isn't.
Yeah, right? But
I'm gonna
that
say-
could be part of the deception.
You never know. I am a psych student.
Yes, that's true. She's very good at that psychology manipulation thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say number one.
Okay. Ginny?
I'll say 2.
It's a hard one. Jacob?
Mm-hmm.
2.
Nika?
I'll also go with 2.
Ella?
2.
Jugad?
2.
I'm also going to go with number 2. And the answer is...
Well, apparently you guys would think I'm adventurous and rebellious, and you're right, it's number 2. I did not do that.
You did not go... I mean, you're pretty adventurous if you've gone ziplining. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to do that. I just read today that the there's a zip line that's open now between Ottawa and Gatineau, which fascinates me, and I really want to do it.
Yeah, that may or may not
awesome.
have influenced my question.
Hello, Amin. Amin is joining us. Amin said that the answer was number 1. Amin, sorry, you are incorrect. All right. Next, we are going to go to cursor scroll. Jugad.
Okay. So I had a couple of obvious ones, but I tried to remove them because the obvious one was cricket, which I just had a podcast on, so I decided rather not do that. So, okay. So 2 truths and a lie. Okay. So 1, I played the saxophone. 2, I played the flute. 3, I was in the Math Olympics.
You were in the what Olympics?
Math.
Oh, the Math Olympics. Ooh, okay. Let's fire off some guesses. Ginny, what do you think?
2. I think it's 2.
Ishita?
I'm going to go with 1.
Randy?
I think it's 2.
Jacob?
3.
Ella?
I'm gonna say it's 3 because number 1 and 2 are tricky. So
Nika?
1.
I'm gonna say 2. And the answer is...
I'm so proud of myself. Like 3 people said 3, 2 said 1, and 2 said 2. So that means I did trick you. Although
You did.
the people who did say 2 were right. I don't know.
You don't play the flute. Okay.
Yeah.
Play
Cool.
the saxophone. We need to hear that.
Yeah,
one time.
man. I want to hear that. Maybe on our next YouTube live, Jugad can
Maybe
give us
on a Blind Beginnings Band Club.
Jugad can give us a
Yeah.
live performance. Cool. Right. See, we're learning things about each other we didn't even know. Who knew Ishita dyed her hair pink?
She did. Maybe you should.
I said
See
blue,
what
because then I
happens.
think you guys would believe that more, because I like blue. I don't like pink.
Yeah, exactly.
Never do something like that.
Yeah.
Right. And or you should dye your hair like an anime character, because I feel like you would totally do that.
Right?
There are a couple anime fans in here, in case those who don't know. Ishita, Nika, and myself are all quite
And
fond
me.
of anime and Jugad, although to different extremes. And with that, we are going to move on to Nika, speaking of which.
Okay. So number 1, I've known how to swim for 15 years. I eat a whole foods plant-based vegan diet, and I've visited 6 different countries.
Oh, this is so tricky.
Sorry, can you tell us?
oh.
Can you tell us again one more time for the viewers, just in case?
Yeah, so I've known how to swim for the past 15 years. I eat whole foods, plant-based vegan diet, and I visited 6 different countries.
Okay. Once again, folks, people in the chat, please feel free to chime in with your answers. All right. What do you think? Hello, Lisa. Welcome to our live stream. Thank you so much for joining us. Feel free to pop in your answers or questions or comments if you have them. Ginny, what do you think Nika's
3.
lie is? Brandy?
Number 1.
Okay. Ishita?
I'm going to 3.
Jugad?
2.
Jacob?
Number 3.
Ella?
2.
I will also say number 1. And the answer is, drumroll please.
The answer is 2. I do eat a whole foods vegetarian diet, but not a plant-based.
Oh, look at you and your...
All about
right.
Oh.
You
Yeah.
got us on a technicality. I knew it was like, I think it's
I
vegan.
guess- yeah, I
Ah.
got it. Oh.
Sorry, Jazz Jeet. The plant-based diet is not true. Okay. Awesome. This is good. This is good stuff. Right.
Feel like
Miss
after this-
Randy Poitras, it is your turn to go.
Well then. I have 2 hamsters. I currently have blue and purple hair. And I got pizza for dinner. That's improv.
Can I start the guessing, Clem?
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to guess 3.
All right. Jacob?
2.
Ishita?
I'm going to say 3 because you asked us this in the chat,
Yeah.
Randy.
That's true. You did ask us earlier what to have for dinner.
I did not look at
Um,
what I
banking on
got.
sushi. I'm banking on sushi.
Yep.
So yeah.
Ella?
I would say 2.
Nika?
3.
Jagad?
So is blue and purple one option? Or are
Yes.
they different?
That was one.
Blue and
combined.
purple hair.
Okay, I'll do the pizza one.
Okay, so number 3. And I'm going to be the odd one out and say number 1 because someone has to give a token guess to that one too. Just to be fair, so everybody's included. And
So-
the correct answer is...
So I actually lost track of who got which ones right, but I do currently have blue and purple hair. I unfortunately do not anymore have 2 hamsters.
Ah!
And did get pizza for dinner, even though I asked, everyone said sushi.
What?
None of you understand the sanctity of the Blind Beginnings pizza tradition.
Yes, that is
Okay, what
very
is that?
true. That is very true. And this is why
good.
you know that Randy and I have been friends for a super long time.
Wait. Oh, the lie was number 1.
The lie was number
The
1.
one only one that got it
Oh.
right.
I should have
know.
known. I wasn't thinking.
And he has never seen my dyed hair anyways.
Nope. But I know Randy so well that her dyeing her hair that shade is completely believable.
I mean, it's been blue for years. It's just been mostly blue and green.
Yeah, just not blue and
Cameras
purple.
on.
Yeah.
But that's fine. Okay, cool. Wow, that was good, and I'm very proud of myself for getting that right.
I got you all almost.
Except me. Okay. Let's go now to who do we have?
I think it's you.
Jazz Jeet
No.
says
Ah.
Jazz Jeet, she does have blue and purple hair. And you are wrong too. Sorry, guys. And Lisa says, let's just say I witnessed Nika buy 7 packages of vegan jerky while we were selling cards at a farmer's market. Yes,
Oh my god,
we
I did not
did.
called out.
Oh, I love Lisa.
Yes, we did.
Nika.
All right, that is awesome. Okay.
All right, Clement, is it your turn?
No, it's not my turn.
Oh,
It's Ella's turn.
Oh,
my
okay.
bad.
Okay, sorry, it took me a bit to unmute. Anyway, sorry about that. That's just my time wasting timer. Shut it off. Anyway, so my 3 are: 1, I compose music for orchestra; 2, I'm in 15 Discord servers, at least 15 Discord servers. And number 3, I learned to mix audio in Audacity and Reaper.
Okay, one more time.
Ooh.
Number 1, I compose music for orchestra. 2, I'm in at least 15 Discord servers. And number 3, I can edit audio in Reaper and Audacity.
Hey, Ishita, what do you think?
God, they're so specific. I'm gonna go with 2 because I want to believe that you do the other 2.
Okay, Ginny,
I'm also gonna go with 2.
number 2 as well. Okay, Jugad.
I've got a tendency to go to believe what people think that's extreme. So like some people put extreme things in 2 truths and a lie, so the other person thinks that's wrong. So that's why I'm going to go with 1 because I think 2 is correct. You are
Okay.
in 15.
Right, good logic. Jacob, what do you think?
1.
Nika,
2.
Randy.
I'm gonna say 1.
I'm gonna say 1 as well. And what is the answer, Ella?
It is actually number 1. I have composed music before, but not for an ensemble as big as a full orchestra. I've
Oh,
composed for
awesome.
smaller groups,
That's what I was
but
banking.
not big orchestra yet.
Alright.
That's something to do with it. So
That's
it's actually
pretty.
number 1.
That's still pretty awesome. I didn't know that.
15 Discord servers. Wow.
Ishita, you make Jazjeet laugh, so congratulations.
Also, I'm happy someone laughs at my jokes.
Yeah. I'm happy someone laughs at my jokes too. Thank you, Emily, for doing that. And thank you.
Woody Woodpecker.
Thank you. All right. And I believe it is now my turn.
This is a
And
little bit tricky. I know this.
we are going to go ahead and I'm going to say, all right, so I have visited 10 countries.
I believe that.
I currently have 2 swords leaning against my wall in my bedroom. And I almost fell off a cliff once.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
I think I know. So,
All right. Ginny.
1.
Jugad.
2.
Jacob.
2.
Ella.
3.
Nika.
3.
Randy.
I think you've been to more than 10 countries, so 1.
Ooh, and the correct answer is
Me. That was me.
Oh, Ishita.
How dare you? I was gonna
Sorry
say our
about
friendship is riding on this
Our-
one. Okay.
Our friendship is riding on this one.
Okay. I'm gonna say 1.
Really, hey? Okay. Thank you. And the correct answer is 2. I don't have
Oh. Okay.
Oh,
But do you have them in a different room?
I have them in my closet.
Not leaning against.
Not leaning
see,
against the
I
wall.
knew
Oh, you have
swords.
Wow.
Sounds like
If you said
I
headband, if you said headband, I
Swords
would've
in your
known.
closet?
Ah, he tricked us.
Man.
And I actually have more than 2 if we're really gonna count them all, but we'll leave that for another time. For those who don't know, in case you don't know, I am a total geek and weapons and martial arts enthusiast, which is where that comes from. Amin says 3. I actually did almost fall off a cliff. If John was here, he could vouch for that because I was skiing and I lost control. So, all right. And Jazjeet says he laughs at Clement's jokes too. Thank you very much. I appreciate that
Aw.
because a lot of people don't, like Ishita. So, and I
Alright.
have visited only 10 countries, yes. I
Only.
wish I had visited more.
Only, yeah, Clem, only
Only.
10.
Only.
Yeah, only. I hope to have more under my belt by the end of this year. So we'll see what happens. All right. Now back to our live chat for questions. We had another question from Frank, which I want to address.
I can scroll back if you want.
I've got it, but Randy, if you want to scroll back, if you can.
So another in-depth question. As automobiles become more self-driving, do any of you see the autonomous vehicle systems leading to improvements in the life of a blind person?
That is a
Woo.
great question. I
Whoa.
just want
Oh,
to say
boy.
that. Thank you, Robert, Frank,
Frank,
for those.
Frank Rock.
Mr. Roberts, for those.
Hard
Right. Let's open the floor up then. What do we think? And I think we're going to spend the rest of the time with questions because we only have 15 minutes left. Man, time sure flies when you're having fun. So, Ishita, what do you think?
I'm gonna say yes. I think overall it will give a lot of independence. But I was actually recently watching a video about machine learning and how, yes, overall people tend to think it's safer, but then, accidents happen and companies are going to want to protect themselves and blame,
Yes.
oh, it was a glitch, it's an AI issue.
Yes.
So there's always going to be that fear, I think, surrounding it.
Yes.
So I do think it really will allow for greater independence, which I think
Mhm.
is really important. So overall, I'm going to say yes, but there are caveats relating to it.
Right. There, of course, yeah. There, because with any kind of new innovation comes a lot of caveats to go with it, of course, and especially when it's still new. So I guess the follow-up, well, actually, we'll get to that in a second. Ginny, what do you think?
Ooh, thank you for the question. I think it can, but I personally, just with my own opinion, I don't want to live in that world. It scares me. Technology, a world full of technology. Even in today's world right now, for myself personally, I rely a lot on technology, and because of that technology, things that I like to do the old-fashioned way, like read in Braille and walk with a cane, are being changed so much that it's just kind of becoming more robotic and less human. And I personally don't really want that. And like Ishita said, and I totally agree, technological glitches are a thing. And I'm just not that type of learner. If I could sit back with a book, a hard copy book, and like something like more concrete, I totally would. So I personally think that it can make things accessible for sure, but I don't think it can make things inclusive.
Okay. Thank you for that response. That's a very thoughtful one, and there's a lot to be said. This issue is a really complicated one, so I love having the group of people here because each and every one of us will bring a different perspective. So, Nika, what about you? What do you think?
I actually really agree with kind of technology is pretty scary. I mean, I saw on the internet that there was such thing as a smart cane, which just scares me because no, thank you. But I would be open to trying a self-driving car. I'm not sure if I'd like to own one, just because I genuinely do enjoy using transit. Even with Uber, like I love Uber. It's a great service when I'm in a pinch and when I'm not familiar with an area, and I love using it. And I'm so happy that it came to the lower mainland of BC, but I genuinely just enjoy using transit way more. And I think something to keep in mind as well, self-driving cars, once they become available to the mass market, they're probably going to be really expensive, and probably the most privileged people will be able to afford those. And because the unemployment rate is 75%, really only a small portion of the blind and visually impaired community will be able to utilize it. So that I also don't consider that to be a super accessible and inclusive option in some ways as well.
That's a great point about employment, which I'll get to in my statement as well. But we will wait for that. Thank you. We have a few more people who have joined us. Thank you so much for joining us and participating in our first live stream event with Blind Beginnings on YouTube to celebrate our 1-year anniversary. And we are hoping and looking for more questions. So if you have them, please feel free to ask questions or to comment in the chat. Thank you once again for joining us. Randy, what do you think? do you think autonomous vehicles will increase independence? for people
I
who are blind or
think
visually
they
impaired?
well, I think whether they increase the independence is going to be down to the individual. But I think they will open a lot of more opportunities potentially. I also think it'll be, a while. I think it will take longer for them to be available and, take that time to figure it out and stuff for us than like the general sighted public, because at this point, to my understanding, is like they kind of self-drive, but you're supposed to have a licensed driver who can react in a pinch, right? So I think that's going to take a while to, fine tune and everything, like Ishita was saying about the safety and everything. And that is some of the stuff in the chat too was saying, like, if there's anything we think how they can make them safer. There's also a few other questions once we finish up wrap up this question. But so I think short answer, yes, with quite a bit of time still. But I mean, I, unlike Nika, do not enjoy transit, so I would not mind at all not being reliant on transit or another person to go places, or, some places that just are not transit accessible regardless of the time of day. So, with time.
So with time, maybe not initially, but maybe with time, they could make things a little easier. That's a very fair point. Okay. Jacob?
Well, it will take a lot of time, definitely. I think it depends on the individual.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on who will adopt the technology. For people who adopt the technology, I think it will. If people can't or don't, then it won't.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think it'll make people's lives easier, definitely, but increase independence, don't really know.
Oh, that's a very good distinction. I like that. So easier doesn't necessarily mean more independent. Okay, this is juicy. I love it. Jugad and Ella, let's go with Jugad. And again, let's try and keep our answers a little bit more concise just for the sake of time, because we have 2 other questions at least that I want to get to. So Jugad.
So that's a great question, Frank. And this is kind of a bit of a bendable question because it depends on what timeline you're talking about. 0 years, 5 years, 10 years, and technology usually it's not going to be perfect always. Like, I don't know about everyone, but personally, I have like a JAWS problem in my computer, a voiceover problem every month, at least once or twice. And if that happens when you are driving, then I wouldn't like to imagine what the consequences could be, but we might need to change with time when that comes. So it depends on the timeline you're talking about. And when you're walking with a cane, the electric cars, I don't know about everyone, but has anyone noticed that electric cars have a quieter sound than others?
Yes, for sure. They do. And that's a
So,
huge thing as
yeah.
well. So
That's a big problem. So if someone is like the driver isn't looking or anything and
Yep.
you're crossing and you don't hear them, then
Yep.
that could be risky. But I think
Yes.
we might need to change with time. So it depends on the timeline.
So
We
it
never
depends
know.
on the timeline. Yep, that's a good point. Ella.
I don't really have much to say because I do agree with the above, but I think for me it'll be helpful, and I think it could help things be a bit more accessible or independent, but it's definitely not perfect solution. It's not going to be for everyone, but I think it will be helpful. But I do have the concerns, but again, unlike some other people, I am a big technology nerd and I like technology. I like some of the old-fashioned things still, but I do like new technology. So
Okay. So kind of maybe. That's the end. That's the impression I'm getting. Is that correct?
We never know. Yeah,
Yeah,
timeline.
we don't really know. Okay. And for myself, to answer your question, Frank, that's once again a great one, and I would basically echo everything else that everybody else has already said before me, with the particular emphasis on what Jacob said about how just because it makes your life easier doesn't necessarily mean that it will increase independence. And I think that's a very valid point regarding self-driving cars, smart canes, and technology in general. I think there's a lot of things that it does to make our lives easier, but not independent, well, that's a completely different discussion, which we could have if we had more time, but unfortunately we don't have much time left, so we're gonna skip right ahead to the next two questions. Randy, do you mind if I just tackle these real quick?
Yeah, I was thinking maybe quick fire round for a couple.
Yes, because we only have two left, so
All
let's do
right.
that. And the first one is from our very own Lisa Odland, and it's let's do this first because it's kind of a follow-up to the question about self-driving vehicles. If you had to pick just one piece of technology that has been the most useful in your lives,
Oh man.
what would that be? And so to repeat the question with Lisa's correct phrasing, curious about what is the most useful piece of technology in each of your lives. You have to choose only one with an exclamation mark.
Well, what do we
Okay.
define as technology? I mean, sorry,
Uh,
I won't
we
go
go
that. I won't go
one
that
word
deep. I
answers.
won't go that deep.
Just like tech, I guess, general
Yeah.
tech. People
technology
with,
could be
yeah,
any,
regular
could be a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Okay.
How about
Um,
we give like one word answers, like phone, computer, like that? So
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
Let's go with
fire.
that.
What?
Rapid
Let's
fire.
let's go
Yeah.
let's go with one sentence answers. How about that?
okay.
Okay.
All right. Ishita.
I'm going to say my iPad because I survived without my phone for a long time, but I did not survive without my iPad in terms
Okay.
of school and work. So iPad,
Right, because it makes things bigger and stuff. I'm assuming.
it does.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Ginny.
The old-fashioned Perkins Brailler.
The Brailler. Yes. Yes. Jugad.
Phone makes life easier in many ways because of voiceover and stuff.
What does?
Phone. I
Oh, your
meant
phone, your
like
iPhone.
yeah, phone. So
Okay.
the voiceover. I mean, yeah, I can.
Yeah.
We don't have much time for
Yes. Okay.
details.
So your phone. All right. Good. Nika.
Also agree with Ishita on the iPad. I use it for school all the time.
Okay. Jacob.
NVDA, which is a screen reader
Screen re-
because it
screen reader?
unlocks so many more pieces of technology.
Yes. All right. Randy.
Toss up, but I think I'll stick with phone because at this point they are basically small computers.
Well, I mean, and everybody in the world now needs to have a phone to survive. At least in the Western world. All right, Ella.
I would say NVDA as well because
Okay, NVDA.
yeah.
I am going to be the odd one out again, and I'm going to say that the piece of my technology that has been the most useful is my Braille display, because it lets me take notes at the same speed as other folks who are sighted, and also it lets me do it and read things without being intrusive, especially when I'm in a group setting. So I would definitely say my Braille display, hands down. But you know, the only reason I'm not saying my phone is because, well, again, like I said, everybody already has a phone, and these days it's hard to survive without one. Although sometimes I think we need to do our phone and social media detoxes. I think everybody should do that once a year. But
I don't use social media for the most part, but
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
surprised no one said watch.
yes. So anyway, I would say
Next
my technology is my Braille display, and I'm sorry I violated my own rule of one sentence or more. I'm notoriously bad for doing that. Yeah, exactly. And our last question of the evening is from Jasleen. Thank you for the question. And the answer is, have any of you worked in retail? The question is, not the answer. What am I talking about? This is why I don't do live streams on my own, because I need people who can correct me and put me in my place. So, the question from Jasleen is, have any of you worked retail? So let's go with one-word answers for this one. Ishita.
Okay, I'm gonna break the rules. Sorry. I know this person. This is my best friend. Hi, Jocelyn. Thanks for the question. She knows the answer. No, but she does. That's why she asked it.
Okay, cool.
Shout outs
Ginny?
are fine.
Shout out to who? Sorry?
I said shout outs are fine.
Yes, shout outs are good. We love shout outs. Ginny?
Sorry. No, but I want to try and have tried.
Okay.
Sorry, I violated the rules.
Nope, that's okay. At this point, it's fine. I already broke it, so we're good. Nika.
No, but it would honestly be a dream to work at Sephora.
Well, you would just buy from Sephora with your employee
Yeah.
discount. That's
Wait.
right. Nika is our resident fashion and clothing connoisseur.
And jerky.
Randy,
You forgot
you-
makeup.
That, but for anybody who's not looking at that, yes, I've worked 8 years in retail so far.
right? And Rich, where do you work?
I have worked at different Targets when they were in Canada, and I have worked at different Ronas,
Oh,
which are hardware stores, if you're not familiar.
Oh, Target. All right, Jacob,
I do not, and I have not.
Ella, Ella, you are muted.
Going once.
Nope.
No, you haven't. All right, Jagad.
No.
All right, neither have I. And with that, we are at the end of our stream time. So once again to chat, thank you so much for joining us today as part of our live stream. This is the first one we've ever done, so it was a little bit rough to work through all the bumps, but thank you for sticking with us through those.
There's
And
14 people still there
there's
right now. Thank
14
you to the
people still
14.
there.
Woo!
Thank
Thank
you,
you, everybody.
15. We just
Guys.
increased by one.
Woohoo!
Awesome stuff. Thank you to Jasleen, to Frank, to Lisa for the questions,
Ultimate player.
and Ultimate Fiddle Player, and
Eve,
Jazjeet, and
Amin.
and whoever else who didn't speak up in the chat. Henrik, I believe.
There was a Henrik Sedin in there.
Yes, there was a Henrik Sedin.
Probably not that
Um,
Henrik Sedin. but,
Probably
you know.
not that one, although that would be amazing.
That would be cool.
That would be super cool. Thank you, everyone. So once again, this has been our live stream to celebrate our 1-year anniversary for our Limitless blog and podcast. If you haven't already, please go subscribe to the podcast. It's on Apple Music and Spotify and wherever else you find your podcasts.
Where can you find our website, Clement?
You can, well, I'll get there. Or you can subscribe to this channel and you will also find our episodes as they are published. You can also visit us if you want to learn more about Blind Beginnings, which is an organization that helps children and youth and their families in the province of British Columbia to realize their full potential and to inspire a world where seeing things inspires and leads to limitless possibilities. Go to our website at www.blindbeginnings.ca. And you can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and of course YouTube. And with that, we are going to sign off. So everyone, please say bye. Thank you once
Message
again so
from
much for
Emily.
joining us.
Donations.
And
Yeah.
please, as you visit our website, if you are inclined, we would appreciate any donations that you would be inclined to make.
Yes,
All
thank
right.
you, everybody.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone,
you,
for watching.